Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of the premiere episode of the Quantum Leap Reboot 2022. Now there may be spoilers within this review, so just beware when going into this overall video. Now I'm sure you're all well aware of what this is, but just in case there's anybody watching who doesn't know, Quantum Leap 2022 is a reboot or sequel or continuation of the classic science fiction series from 1989 starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. It focused on a physicist in the future named Sam Beckett trying to perfect time travel by using his Quantum Leap project. Fearing shutdown by the government, he steps into the accelerator himself, waking up in the past and in somebody else's body and losing his memory. Over the course of the series, he has to correct events that went wrong in history, which enables him to leap back into a different time, and by doing good deeds, he hopes one day to make the final leap back home. Now at the end of its 5-year run, we would see that Sam never manages to find his way back. Now the 2022 reboot follows on from that story, where after several attempts to bring Sam home, the Quantum Leap project was eventually abandoned. After many years, we follow a new physicist who has been working on the project named Ben Song, and during a party with his fiancée Alison, Ben gets an urgent text message from one of the members working on the project, informing him that time is running out. Ben rushes to the project, stepping into the accelerator unauthorized just like Sam did, and as before he finds himself in the past time period. Here he is stranded in 1985, finding himself part of a robbery gang. Alison appears to Ben shortly as a hologram, telling him of the project and why he sleeps back. What follows is a frantic encounter where Ben, under the identity of an undercover cop, has to save one of the robbery gang members from being killed, and by doing this he will hopefully be able to leap back into his original timeline. Now going into this series, there was quite some anticipation from original fans, more so because they wanted to see Scott Bakula return as Sam, hoping to conclude his story from the finale where we would see Sam finally get back home. And as usual with reboots of classic shows and franchises, the question arises as to whether this would be yet another failed reboot doing a disservice to the original, or could this possibly be another revelation like Cobra Kai, enhancing the franchise legacy and making it accessible also for newer audiences? Now despite this being only the first episode, I sadly have to say that this was a very disappointing start, not even in terms of connection to the franchise, but just as an individual episode itself. It was very poorly constructed and extremely rushed and messy. Things moved extremely fast. Literally in the first 5 minutes we go over the story surrounding Sam Beckett, before seeing Ben and his wife at a party, before him rushing into the accelerator and being transported back into the 80s. And shortly after that we get a frantic car chase as the robbery gang escapes the police. And just overall, this episode just doesn't settle down. We barely get time to know Ben or his personality, and he almost feels like a secondary player as we get just as much focus on the Quantum Leap team in the current timeline. And I hate to say this as it's such a cliche, but this episode really did feel like a CW pilot, which episodes always tend to rush through the development, almost as if the pilot feels like it's an obligation, that the showrunners just want to get through it as quickly as possible so that they can get forward to the status quo of the series. Now we get the 80s setting in terms of the cinema billing, where we see the likes of the Goonies and St. Elmo's Fire showing. We have the Live Aid broadcasts, we have the David Bowie music playing of Let's Dance, and also the Wang Chung music playing from the classic film To Live and Die in LA. But all of these elements never get a chance to leave a mark or a lasting impression, as we're just too busy rushing through the entire plot. One of the special elements of the original series is that it gave the viewer a chance to really embrace the historical time period that Sam found himself in, and we would go through all of those little quirks and discoveries as Sam was trying to adjust to the past history that he was involved in. But we don't get the same opportunity in this reboot here. In terms of the 1980s setting, it just looks like a present day world. It's all shiny and glossy and full of green screen, and it just doesn't feel authentic or real. Take out all of the little clips of the music. If you told me that this story was taking place in a modern day setting, I would completely believe you. It really feels more like a typical US procedural show. It almost could have been called anything else and you probably would have been more accepting of it. In terms of the lead character played by actor Raymond Lee, I just think Ben overall is a very bland and charmless personality. I do think it was a major mistake focusing too much on the Quantum team outside, as it really denied us any chance to really get to know Ben as a personality. In terms of his character arc during this episode, He literally goes from being confused to fully knowing and being competent in a space of about 5 minutes. And again, referring back to the original show, one of the joys was seeing Sam making certain adjustments as to what was going on, as that drew you in as a viewer as well, because you also wanted to follow Sam on that journey of discovery. But we just don't get the chance to have the same opportunity with Ben throughout this episode. The same goes for all of the other characters. Probably out of them all, the most involvement came from Allison's role here. I only drew attention to the role of Magic because he was played by Ernie Hudson, who we all know way back from the Ghostbusters movies. But other than that, I really didn't care about any of the characters that were involved. And again, amongst the quick pace involving all of the car chases and explosions, there really was no time to let anything else leave a lasting impression. Now, I do understand that it's a show within 2022 and it will bring far more modern sensibilities and aesthetics, which I guess in many ways is a large part of the problem. It's almost as if the showrunners watched the original series pilot thinking it was too much of a slow burn, and that this episode had to be action-packed and exciting and fast-paced in order to make sure that it would retain the attention of audiences. So the episode eventually plays out and we find Ben saving the life of indeed the fellow robber before making his next leap, where we see him as the astronaut taking off into orbit and space. So again, everything is happening just so quickly, so you're not really invested or interested to see what happens in the next episode. Now, we did get a quick reference to Al as a character, learning that he passed away. Of course, they had to do this because sadly the actor who played Al so brilliantly in the original series, Dean Stockwell, had passed away some time ago. And we also learned that his daughter had originally tried to carry on the Quantum Leap project in order to find Sam, but she was denied as they felt she was too emotionally attached to the project. So I'm sure she'll probably make an appearance later on down the line. So in one sense, I will give them credit for not trying to leech on too much to the original series. This episode itself very much did have its own identity and they tried to do their own thing, but overall I just think it was a very lackluster and disappointing entry and first start to this overall series. And again, it is the first episode, so I will hold out before making a final judgment, but so far I don't feel that this will be a fine entry and continuation in terms of the overall franchise and original series. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the Quantum Leap 2022 reboot. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this was a worthy sequel or continuation into the original series, or do you think it was something that was lackluster, and do you think it will overall be another failed reboot as what we've seen so many times before? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you'd like to see me continue reviewing this series and also any future episodes, then also let me know within the comments. And if you have any other suggestions of any other television shows or movies or any other topics that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know and I will see if I can provide further commentary on that subject within the future. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.